Terry had gotten to know me in college. I used to go to the matches and watch him, and a bunch of us would all go down and happy hour and then go to the matches and have a good time at the wrestling matches. And Terry just kind of noticed me, and I favored Terry. And when I first got there, a couple of the assistant coaches that were my coaches were actually really good friends with Terry. He says, "Guy, you look just like Terry Funk," And of course I knew who he was. I'd knew about wrestling a little bit, not a whole lot, but anyways, through that relationship, Terry and I developed a little bit of not a friendship, but acquaintance and so forth. And after football, he says, if you're ever interested, I never ever thought about it that much, but so that's how it was. I was starving, teaching, and I realized that maybe a chance to get into wrestling, make a little bit of money that I, didn't get to make in pro football. So. And
what was the training like?
Well, there wasn't no training, There wasn't any training. There was just a lot of great talent in the Amarillo territory. Moose Morawski and Carl von Steiger. And those are the two guys that really took me under their wing, and taught me a lot of stuff. And of course, Terry and Junior and Dory Senior was still alive at the time, and they kind of pulled me aside, showed me how to get a headlock and get an arm bar, and and basically that's it. Now get in the ring and learn, and that's it. There was no training.
Would it have been Terry Funk that brought you to Japan the first time through his connection?
Yeah, the Funks did book me the very first time in 75, I think. Yeah, 75, and the next time I was coming out of New York. And Vince Sr. booked me for New Japan this time. I went for All Japan and Baba the first time through the Funks. They were booking for Baba. And but the next time Vince booked me.
How did you end up making the switch to All Japan?
Well, they went and got New Japan, ended up going and getting Abdullah the Butcher. So, they started this war, and talent, which is, that's good. It's good for the talent, isn't it? But I was getting pushed, and they were pushing me good. And they, they brought Abdullah over, and it was big news and everything. And so I was sitting there looking, with Hogan and I were teamed up, and we both saw it, and Hogan ended up going back to the States, and I was just sitting there saying, God, well, I wonder where they're bringing him in. Where's this leave me? They were pushing me too. So do we need the Butcher? We were doing good business. So anyway, Terry Funk got a hold of me, and because we had a relationship from college, and he broke me into the business. So.
And he was in charge.
He was with All Japan and John Baba, So they said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Well, I don't know, man. They really treat me good here, and I got a good job and so forth." But he says, "Well, let's talk, and let's meet." And I said, okay. So anyway, I met with Baba, and one of the things going back, Bruno always told me, he says, he worked for Baba, and even though Vince was working with Inoki, Bruno only worked for Baba. And he told me, way back there in '76, he said, you can trust Baba, Baba's word. And that always stuck with me, and so anyway, I met with Baba, and we made a deal, and we had to keep it quiet for a while and be sure everything was done the right way, and anyway, ended up going to All Japan and ended up working 25 years for him. And we had a contract, in the beginning, for like a couple-year contract, but after that, everything was just on a handshake. There was never a contract between us, and he trusted me, and I obviously I trusted him, and it lasted a long time.
For fans that might not be aware of the Japanese style of wrestling, can you just explain what the difference is between Japanese and American?
Without sounding too, New Japan had a little different, a little faster pace, not less NWA wrestling holes, back, you get in the hole, work a hole for, 10 minutes and stuff. And that's a great style, and I think it could come back because people just don't see it now. They see nonstop 958 spots, in 10 minutes, and nobody ever registers or anything. Anyway, but that style was the All Japan style, Baba's style. Our success was the way Jet Sane did it, and myself, and established this hell bent for leather, just keep on going. And it took gas. It takes a lot in good shape, and I was fortunate to have good legs and good shape, and I could go. And I wasn't stronger than very many people, but I could just keep going. And that kind of style became the Japan style. So when Baba asked me to come over, I said, well, because I knew their style was more the NWA type of style, and I said, well, I don't want to. He says, no, I want your style. So, don't change. We want. So he knew that, that was the direction that All Japan needed to go. And so that's why he hired me. And I think, I took it as, all right, you're going to have to keep up now, and forced all those guys to end up changing the style into what became Japanese style wrestling. But
and in Japan,
in the beginning, it wasn't that way.
If you don't assert yourself in Japan, you'll just get eaten up. Is that pretty much true, especially in your day? Like if you don't actually fight back and try and be dominant, some of those Japanese guys would just take advantage.
Yeah, of course. And the Japanese were great. They all had the ability to go too. They just didn't go because that wasn't the style. But they didn't lay down. And when they saw how much Frank and I were going just tooth for nail and everything, it changed them. What are they going to do? Bend over back? This is their country. This is they're the company. We're just gaijins coming in. And so, it forced them to fight back, and they did, and that's eventually that just changed the whole wrestling style.
And as you were finishing up your career in All Japan, you had a feud with Misawa. What are your thoughts on that feud?
Well, it's I was involved with all those that second generation of guys, starting with Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada. Those three guys were just great opponents. And I was lucky to be in that. Things happened, over in Japan that caused, Tenyu left, took, a lot of the top, the middle and higher middle hierarchy talent with him. And so all of a sudden Baba is there, and he's got these, Misawa, Kawada, Kobashi, young guys. And I was involved in, working and getting those guys, and those guys fought me, and I fought them back, and, we had some great years, the best years of all Japan. Business was done during that time, when those three guys were coming up and taking over, yeah.
And how did All Japan change once Giant Baba died?
Well, there was some politics going on inside Japan that only Japanese people are divvy to. Nobody, there's all the scoop sheets and everything, they think they know everything. They don't know nothing, that's my opinion. It's just what stooges feed them, But anyway, what goes on inside the Japanese, is, I sure didn't know what was going on. So, all Japan changed. Baba, of course, I mean, I knew that once Baba passed away, then things would have to change. And sure enough, Mizawa eventually took most everybody and formed a new company. But Ms. Baba was trying to get to a certain time, anniversary date. And so I was, still involved, with it. But then I had some health issues, orthoritic issues that came to light, and I knew that it was time for me to quit. So anyway.
What happened to your wrist there? I noticed you have a bit of the other one.
Oh yeah, I don't know. A little too hard.